Welcome to this week's Line Opinion Panelists. We're joined in studio this week by Michael Byrd, a longtime public health consultant. Trip Jennings is with us. He's Executive Director of New Mexico In Depth. And former New Mexico State Senator Dee Dee Feldman is with us as well. Thank you all for being here. Now, we begin this week with a decision out of Washington, D.C., where the nation's highest court voted to preserve a system that gives preference to Native Americans in foster care and adoption proceedings involving Native American children. That's the point here. The Supreme Court ruled 7-2 to uphold broad swaths of the 1978 Indian Child Welfare Act. The state of Texas and three white families kickstarted the case with a lawsuit claiming the federal law was based on race and unconstitutional under the Equal Protection Clause. Now, this ruling rejects that claim, and most tribal leaders across the country are celebrating the court's decision. And Michael, why is this decision so important for tribes and pueblos in New Mexico? Specifically. Now, we'll get to the nationwide stuff, but here in New Mexico, what's the bounds?
Well, I think the bottom line is that the court ruled and acknowledged and ruled that that Native pueblos, tribes, and nations are political sovereigns, and that is something that is critical to Native communities in terms of protecting our people, children, protecting our land, protecting our rights to water, and so it's a validation. Not that we need to be validated, but I guess some people think so. But it's a validation, acknowledgement, and validation of our legal government-to-government relationship, which everything is predicated on for Native people. If in fact the court would have ruled in a different manner, it would put in jeopardy so many of the things that underlie tribal sovereignty and tribal self-governance.
So it was a big decision, and in so many ways, it wasn't just about this.
Oh, the implications were much broader.
Right. Interestingly, Senator, before ICWA, 95% of Native kids at the time before this were being placed with non-Native families. 95%. That's a phenomenal number. Something had to happen here.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking, and it dates back to the boarding houses and the snatching of Indian children from their parents, basically, in order to make them into Anglos. Right. And this is something that has happened here in New Mexico, and it's really a great resounding victory because it was a 7-2 victory, which was really great, and it really did, as Michael said, really spoke to the sovereignty issue because, I think people understand, this poor family that adopted the Native child, and by the way, it was a New Mexico case. It was a Navajo child, I think, a mixed Navajo and Oklahoma, I think, maybe. Okay. And anyway, so he adopted by a Texas family, and now the Texas family wanted to adopt the brother. Right. And so everybody can say, it's just racial discrimination that you would want to put them back with the tribe. Or the original parents, but the great argument was, no, it's not. It can't be racial discrimination because this is another country. Right. This is like a citizen of another country, not a person of a different race. I mean, that's really precedent. Right. That's precedent.
Right. Interesting. Trip Jennings, by the way, glad you're here. This was the third time Supreme Court has taken up an issue with ICWA. And what's interesting, Amy Coney Barrett wrote the majority opinion on this. It's very interesting. Right. To follow up, Senator, 7-2, some things are just apparent over time, but 2023,
When I when I read the stories, I was thinking about the Kennedy Report in 1969, which was about schools, and the Merriam Report in 1928. There were two massive reports. This is the important part about history. You should know this history. But in Kennedy Report, there was this line that said basically that the boarding school history was always related to land policy. Always talking about land. And I see you smiling, but I mean, I read it with that larger context in mind, sort of saying it did validate the political entities, which was huge. But also knowing the history made me think, maybe the justices were thinking, and Gorsuch has signaled that he actually does know some of this history in the past. With, I think it's McGirt, is that right, in Oklahoma?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma. And that yes, the justice who wrote the majority opinion probably saw this as a kind of an open shut case, and
Does it feel
7-2.
safe? Does it feel more solid because we have that kind of?
I want to say this, that it does leave open a challenge on race stuff. Everything I've read about that is Kavanaugh, actually, Justice Kavanaugh mentioned something about race coming out, but I think it may be down the road a ways. That's
Well, interesting. Alito and Thomas were the two that, of the 7 and the 2. I'm not quite sure what they were thinking there, but anyway, pick up on what Tripp was saying. Look like you had a point there.
Yeah. What I wanted to say was that if you really don't understand this nation's history, and I'm not talking about 1492, I'm talking the very beginning of when there were people here for over 23,000 years, as we know, based on some evidence out of White Sands. So there were people, they had their own governance, they had their own communities. And if people don't understand that there are two foundational elements in this nation. The first and foremost was the genocide and removal of Native people. And this history is well documented, if one wants to know. The second foundational element was slavery. And the history of there is there if people want to know. If you're seeking truth, you have to go some places that you may be uncomfortable with. But unless anything else is a false narrative, because there are plenty of false narratives that have been promulgated over the course of time. The only good Indian is a dead Indian. Kill the Indian. Save the man. All of this goes back for 500 years of history and policy, colonial policy and federal policy as it relates to Native communities. And it's relocation, it's assimilation. I mean, the boarding schools and the removal of Indian children was to basically erase Indian people as an entity. The genocide itself, physical genocide that took place, didn't do that. So what you see happening is, in fact, these assimilation policies. You see boarding schools. You see programs, termination and relocation. There was an effort to get Indians off the reservation back in the 50s. My family went to San Francisco, and it was to separate Native people from the land, probably then saying, well, if we can get these Indians into the cities, they'll disappear and become Americanized, and then we can probably move in on that land, because it's always been about the land.
There you go. Yep. Well, sorry, I want to stay with you for one quick sec. Chip, I got you here in a quick second. Land rights. Dominoes falling over. Is this just one domino falling over, hitting nothing else, or is this possibly going to lead up to some other issues, at least getting on the table for some fair hearing for Native American issues here?
Well, it'll be. This is just the continuation of it all. It always comes back to Native people, Native rights, Native land, Native water, Native sovereignty, and it's about sovereignty.
Right.
And we are the only community, the only population. Yes, we are people of color, but we are the only ones that have treaties and a government-to-government relationship with this nation. And I dare say this nation has fallen short in terms of fulfilling the treaties, fulfilling its obligation to Native people. American Indians to this day, pre-COVID, had the highest mortality, morbidity rates of any population in this nation. So much for the blessings of civilization.
By the way, Tripp, speaking of chipping away at tribal sovereignty, there's other Republican-led states that were kind of getting in on this Texas thing. Texas was not the only one. We've got. So does this case? I got to ask again. Does this possibly end that idea of chipping away at tribal sovereignty now that we've got some clarity here?
I can't predict the future, and I want to say that this law firm that was doing this also represents oil and gas companies. So we're talking about land. This is land policy, and what Michael was talking about. This is really key. I also want to say something that coming from not being raised in New Mexico, but learning a lot of the history here, I think also that living here, you know, I've learned the history that pre-European, there was this the communities were very sophisticated, and they were highly organized, and there were trade networks from the tip of South America up to where Alaska and northern Canada, which is similar to what you would see in the Middle East thousands of years ago, in Europe and whatnot. This is probably, honestly, some of the communities in North America were more advanced than Paris and London. And so I think that that's important to point out, because I do think that there are people like myself who are raised who didn't know that. And it's easier to say we need to take care of these children, when in fact, good Lord, sorry, that's my Southernness coming out. Good Lord, when you read about some of the communities and how the holistic taking care of the communities, I'm in awe. I'm still learning, but I'm kind of in awe.
We could learn a thing
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, about how community works. We throw that word around a lot in modern times. Thanks to our Line Opinion panel. We'll be back here the second half of the show to talk about this past week's Juneteenth celebrations and what the holiday means here in New Mexico.